The dictionary defines the word cringe as to experience an inward shiver of embarrassment or disgust. When I think of this word, the first thing that comes to mind was how people threw vitriol at Pixar's 2022 movie, Turning Red. It tells the story of a 13-year-old Chinese-Canadian girl named May, who goes through puberty by being able to turn into a giant red panda whenever her emotions become too much, while also having to adapt to this new change with her overbearing mother. One important aspect of this movie for me is that it takes place in 2002. My 2000s was occupied with my years in elementary and middle school, so when I read the summary to this movie as it was coming out, I knew this movie was made for a certain demographic. The nerdy schoolgirls who love boy group music, cartoons, and want nothing but their moms to be happy with their work ethic. However, when the movie finally dropped into theaters, to my horror, the majority of comments were either mixed to negative, with a bunch of incel men on the internet complaining that the story and dialogue were too cringy to watch. I still haven't seen this movie yet, but I have seen some important clips from it which make me believe that those who are complaining about the movie either are heartless or have never had a similar experience to May before, or perhaps this movie reminds them too much of that part of their childhood, so they try to suppress it as much as possible. I talked to one of my best girlfriends about this as she saw the movie, and she said that when she was 13 years old, she was basically May in a nutshell. The more clips I saw of this movie, the more I saw May in myself too, and the more I started to understand what the other half of the audience was talking about. No one wants to remember all the cringeworthy things that they did when they were kids, preteens, and teenagers, like when they start having crushes for the first time, when they would pick fights on the school grounds because someone made fun of a celebrity you loved, when you tried to control your body-changing appearance to fit with everyone else, when you have to stand up to your parents for the first time because you're starting to form your own opinions that your parents may not agree with. All of these things are not memories that older teens and adults want to remember because they were young and they didn't know how to express their new thoughts and feelings for the first time. Hearing about Turning Red in context like this is funny because that's also what Inside Out 2 is about, a movie I also haven't seen yet, but my family has been telling me I 100% should. But instead of seeing the external effects of growing up, you're looking at it from the inside, which I honestly think is clever coming from Pixar to release these two movies in the span of 2 years. Growing up is chaotic, and cringy things are going to happen regardless of what you do to prevent that from happening. So what do you do when it does? Well, like humans always do, we grow from those moments and use them as teaching tools for what we should do when something like that either happens again or to prevent it with the experiences we gained. This doesn't always apply to our personal experiences, but it applies to the work ethic of artists as well.
Yeah, young and rich, tall and handsome. I'm Charisma Boss, Baby Ricky.
Willy Wonka, the amazing oily world.
Oh, how I would love to talk about how cringy those two moments were, but no, I'm talking about IVE in this case. Confucius once said, "By 3 methods we may learn wisdom. First by reflection, which is noblest. Second by imitation, which is easiest. And third by experience, which is the bitterest." As humans, we are creatures of perfection. We all want to do something correct and great the first time around, and when something doesn't go our way, shame sets in real damn quick because we know what people expect from us. This is why the phrase, "practice makes perfect," exists. As Sybil from Downton Abbey once said,
"No one hits the bullseye with the first arrow."
Meaning that it's okay to try something and it doesn't work the first time around. There is a reason why we have lessons in education in things we don't know about firsthand. Not only is there education that you can sit at a desk to learn about, there's also education that you can only get from social interaction as well. We are taught how to say sorry to those we care about and strangers from a young age because that meaningful sorry is what we need to prove to others that we can mature and learn from the mistakes we've made. Without that level of sympathy within us, relationships with others don't exist. Yeah, it's going to make you feel bad when you remember a time that you accidentally hurt your friend with a joking comment, but if you really mean that you didn't mean to hurt that friend of yours, the situation won't damage your friendship. Thus, you won't think about it so much for the rest of your life. So how about when you have to complete a task for someone? What about if your job pertains to creating art for the common folk to consume and you're expected to do a perfect job off the bat? This is where the cringe accusations of IVE come into play. And guys, just like how our personal cringes are not a huge deal, when a music act builds their discography for the first time, it sets the tone for what kind of music you may expect from an act based on the attributes that they bring to the table. Their debut song 11 defined how the fourth generation of K-pop was going to be remembered. It screamed big. It screamed elegance. It screamed, "We are IVE and we are here." Of course, the group will continue this pattern with their comebacks Love Dive, After Like, and I Am. Along with these songs and their reputation from Starship Entertainment, the same company responsible for the popular boy group Monsta X, IVE's career was set in stone, as they can't do anything less, right? The IVE hate train, or more specifically, the Wonyoung hate train, starts boarding in April of 2022 during IVE's Love Dive promotions. On April 9th, NBC released an episode of The Manager, in which IVE were the focus. It was just normal getting to know the girls stuff, but then the girls were brought into a meeting room just to chat with the host and eat some snacks, which included grapes and strawberries. It was during this when Wonyoung took a strawberry with two hands and started eating it. This, of course, got a reaction out of the host, who took the moment to poke some fun. I take this moment as K-pop variety show fodder. Wonyoung was just doing it to make a meme. However, some viewers of the show didn't take this so lightheartedly, calling Wonyoung a pick-me for using typical K-pop aegyo in a commonplace setting. Did y'all really forget what these variety shows are about? If you think that was weird enough to call a girl a pick-me, y'all have absolutely no idea what variety shows were like during second generation K-pop. That was Aegyo City. But all of a sudden, we live in a world where kawaii level crap like this is now considered cringe? Yeah, you keep telling yourself that while I enjoy my strawberries in peace. Then we go to the 2022 Mamas on November 29th. IVE won 4 awards that night. Song of the Year for Love Dive, Best Dance Performance for Love Dive, Best New Female Artist, and Favorite New Artist. It was obviously a huge night for the girls, so things were going to get emotional super quick. However, something felt off about Yiso's emotional speech. Like, you know how you fake feeling bad with your friends after they make some sort of sarcastic remark just so you can get them to apologize even though the remark didn't affect you all that much? Or maybe how you fake cry to your parents when they tell you no for something just so they can change their minds? Not to be that kind of person today, but that feels exactly what this is. Why it happened? We don't exactly know. It's possible that Yiso was actually grateful and maybe she was so tired that's how the speech came out, or maybe she was told by staff to try to cry if they received the award. Again, it's a mystery. What's not a mystery was how people reacted to it, calling Yiso a pick-me because she was trying to get sympathy points when IVE already got all the attention throughout their debut year. Bitch, I've seen pick-me girls all throughout high school and college, and they did not act like this. I guess IVE saw that they could make a running joke out of this as their version of the middle finger, because Yiso made another speech at the MMAs the next year in which she did the same thing. If Natasha L. Kim was right about this being a running gag, I think that's hilarious.
So let me be arrogant. Let me be arrogant, baby.
I'm joking. Yiso is the last person being arrogant, but I couldn't find a better meme to express how she feels here. Then we go to New Year's Eve with the airing of MBC's Gayo de Jejong, or the music festival, which is what I'm gonna call it from now on because, as you can tell, my Korean actually sucks. Wonyoung and Yiso are honored to perform IU's single, Strawberry Moon, which had been released a year prior, in front of a live audience. However, like Yiso's Mama Awards speech, something also felt off about this performance. As a trained vocalist, when I was told to check this performance out, I couldn't help but not be surprised by what I saw. If any performance was a clear example of lip syncing, it's the girls making that high note look so easy. For once in IVE's career, this was less cringe and more that people got furious at Starship and NBC for letting Wonyoung and Yiso embarrass themselves while sitting down to a song they covered on their YouTube channel before. The more I get into K-pop, the less I want to get into the argument of whether idols should be singing live all the time versus lip syncing anymore. And please don't start fighting in the comments about that, because I'm a tired 28-year-old woman who happens to sing in her spare time. However, as I mentioned earlier, the higher and louder you sing live, the more pressure you are putting on your vocal cords, which is why your face looks less graceful in appearance. But as long as your note sounds good, no one gives a damn about that. Listeners are more impressed by how you managed it and less on how you look doing it, which is why people got suspicious during this cover stage. Again, thankfully, the blame was geared towards the correct people this time. You would think that the rocky year that was 2022, that 2023 would make the girls look better by comparison, right?
Oh shit, here we go again.
January 2023, Papa John's released an ad in South Korea that looked like this.
파파존스 안 먹어봤구나? 이젠 파파존스!
Looks okay. Looks normal. However, some behind-the-scenes footage was released about the filming of the commercials in which Wonyoung was in a shot like this. And guess what happened? Yet again. Seriously? I bet y'all have been doing that to your pizza slice since you were 4 years old. If you thought that was the cringiest thing you've seen in your life, you clearly have never seen any commercials from Japan, and those are taken seriously.
콘소메 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 펀치 펀치잖아요 콘소메 펀치 음악사가 기대로 콘소메 펀치 콘소메 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 펀치.
If there was anything Dives hoped, it was that cringe would stay outside of the music, because the girls were on an absolute roll in regards of their number ones on the circle charts.
Oh dear, what is it? I've spontaneously combusted.
After the era that was Cringeggedon of 2022, something about IVE's discography changed for the public at large, and it kinda started with Kitsch, the song that was supposed to be the pre-release, to what would soon become I Am, a song that would, of course, win the good graces of the people once again. People are still mixed on whether Kitsch was a good song or not. I'm about to reveal a confession right now. I'm not a dive, nor will I ever be, but that's for my own personal reasons. But if there are 2 songs from IVE that I have on a Secret Obsessions playlist, they are 11, and much to my own surprise, Kitsch. Kitsch is the embodiment of the word, and I feel like I understand it more than others. However, if there is one part of the song that I agree is awful, and it should never have been included, it was the rap bridge.
야, 모두 주목해. 내가 좋아하는 것만 하면 뭐 어때? This ain't your life. 쓸데없는 생각 따위 go away.
Whoever the hell said that Ray should rap, I hope they're having a miserable life right now. If any remix version of the song exists that Ray's rap doesn't exist, I will gladly binge that for the rest of my days. I will say that they should have kept the 90s Kitsch lyric from the demo version instead of 19's Kitsch. I mean, what the hell does that even mean? I know that 90s wouldn't have made much sense as none of the members were born in the 90s, but the song could have been some 90s retro throwback, which would have been nice. In the time of which Kitsch came out, Dives dismissed it as the first step before the big break that I Am was, and I Am most certainly was a different era for these girls. But Cait, what's up with cringe affecting IVE's music again? So it's not a surprise that I do my research before I start talking out of my ass, and I most certainly did that by re-listening to all of IVE's title tracks to get the gist of what IVE's branding is like. I did, however, ignore the Japanese singles as they don't play much into IVE's story. In the IVE Mine era, I can very easily say that Either Way and Off the Record were iconic songs that subtly tackled the disco sound in simple yet effective ways. But again, that's where the good times end.
I'm a baddie, but the baddie, baddie, pretty little risky baddie. 뭐든 될 대로 되라지. Catch me if you can.
If I were to put the blame on what exactly brought the term baddie into Gen Z and Gen Alpha slang, that definitely don't deserve to exist. Probably not that, because I don't know where the hell this word came from actually. It's this song and how much the public tried to defend its existence. While I admit that the song is not as bad as I expected it to be, because the preparation for this video forced me to listen to it in full for the first time instead of relying on the chorus for input, to say this song wasn't polarizing to IVE's brand would have me lying to myself and everyone else. I do not like this song. It's definitely Starship trying to give these girls a hip-hop aesthetic that most certainly doesn't belong, but I remember so many people lashing out at it solely for the fact that it goes against everything that IVE had been building up since their debut. They're supposed to be queens of elegance. What the hell is this poorly edited cat clip of a music video? While I totally agree with this, I think what more people completely missed was that at least IVE were able to show off more than what they were capable of doing in the past. Was the path a little misguided? I don't know, maybe. But if there is one thing I can say, this song wasn't the worst thing that IVE did by a long shot.
We always dreamed about this better life, this better life.
Oh, Starship Entertainment. Always there to fuck up something when IVE is doing so well. For those who don't know, All Night by IVE is actually a cover of a 2013 icona pop song during the height of EDM's golden years. Westerners remember this song kind of fondly, as it was the comeback Iconopop made after their hit single I Love It featuring Charlie XCX. People obviously still remember I Love It more because the song was fucking everywhere in the early 2010s, but my friends in the LGBT community still bang out to All Night like there's no tomorrow. With that said, Starship wanted IVE to get some more global appeal after the latest stints in K-pop, so what better way to do that than to collab with a rap artist and butcher an EDM song so bad that it makes the original look saintly by comparison. EDM pop was peak hype music of the time, and it had the greatest privilege of not requiring the greatest of vocals in order to make the song fun. Although bad vocals did kinda ruin a song from time to time, Iconopop were masters at making the room hyped out, despite only being so dated. But they knew how to make a banger. All Night, from IVE's perspective, had everything going against it. One, because All Night is a dance song that lacked any real lyrics, none of the girls were able to show off any of their vocals on their own. Two, because IVE's vocals were not as bombastic as Iconopop's, the hype of All Night was toned down to a lullaby that only Kids Bop can butcher. Lastly, if there was anything new that was added onto All Night's table to make it interesting, it was the Western artist IVE collabed with, not the girls themselves. And even then, Saweetie wasn't really interesting either. It was another moment of cringe that was presented by Starship Entertainment as a stretch way of trying to over-appeal towards its Western audience. Alright, so if we're gonna continue the talk about IVE's music, you're probably wondering what my thoughts are on Heya and Ascendio, right? So, what are my thoughts?
Watch me, don't touch me. Love me, don't hurt me. Watch me, don't touch me.
They're fine. No, let me rephrase that. They're actually really good. I admit that they're not as playlist worthy as Either Way and Off the Record, but that's just one woman's opinion. Safe to say that it was thanks to IVE's switch that IVE's reputation as cringe queens was diminished to almost nothing. So why are aunties still attacking them with the cringe accusations? Well, that's where we come to the last part of the video and why I titled this video, Cringe Too Shall Pass. Because it does. Let's go back to what Confucius said. By 3 methods, we may learn wisdom. First, by reflection, which is noblest. Second, by imitation, which is easiest. And third, by experience, which is bitterest. I would argue that for IVE, their timeline of cringe goes backwards. They experienced some downfalls in their career, which is something pretty much everyone goes through. Starship attempted IVE to imitate some other concepts that other groups were doing because they were popular. But then everyone reflected on those events and used them to go back to what worked, while also evolving the formula that already works. IVE seems to be in a much better place now, and we have that experience to be thankful for in getting IVE this far. Yes, they're approaching only the 3-year mark of their careers, but even I admit that they did a lot to earn that place as 4th-gen K-pop icons in those 2.5 years they do have. I hate to use the more popularity and success one has, the more hate they're going to receive statement, because there are some people in this world that deserve hate regardless of their popularity and success, because they're just downright terrible fucking people. However, to the people who have done absolutely nothing on that level, I do have to agree that some people love bringing up people's insecurities or cringe moments because they themselves have their own insecurities and cringe that still haunt them mentally. When they point out how IVE went from their elegance in their music videos to being, dare I say, geeky and low-key pathetic out in public. All those aunties did was show that the IVE girls are indeed normal people, and they're going to do things out of the norm sometimes. Because like tradition always has, the nerdy girls, regardless of their glow-up, always get made fun of by everyone else. As a nerdy girl who had her glow-up era herself,
I resent that.
at the end of the day, the only thing that's more cringe than those moments happening initially is the person or people who continue to bring them up, even though these moments are now barely remembered in the first place. Even by making this entire video about IVE's cringe moments, I'm a hypocrite for even talking about them in the year of our Lord 2024. But the difference is that I'm pointing out why these moments people might consider cringe, or either A, not really cringe, B, shouldn't even matter, or C, why it was never IVE's fault. Let's go back to Turning Red for a second. It's a comedy family film about a girl who is adapting to her new panda abilities and how the people around her will also adapt. Even though I haven't seen the movie yet, with stories such as these, we all know how they end. The girl is going to realize that her new abilities that have been hindering her will turn out to be her greatest assets, and once she's able to live with them normally, she's going to forget all of her past cringe moments, or at least remember them fondly. At the same time, everyone around her will see her as the awesome person she deems herself to be. With the bitterness that comes from wisdom experience, as Confucius told, that bitterness will become sweet. All things shall pass, and that includes cringe.
We could do this all night.
And that's it for today's video. You know what I realized at the end of all this? After going through all of IVE's career again, I have a greater appreciation for the music they have created so far, or more rather, their overall discography. So I'm glad I made this video. Anyway, if you guys liked what you saw and heard too, the buttons are down below for your clicking pleasure. Don't forget to also comment your thoughts and ideas below. I'm Cait, Cher, and it's been real. Ciao!